Good evening and welcome to Driver's Ed. We are officially halfway through after tonight. So good job. Continue the good work. Take good notes. Hand in your homework. Do your reading. So we're going to wait for people to pop on. So tonight's class will be some lecture, and then what we will do is we will end the class and then do the midterm. Just about everybody here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I think we've got a few people that are not able to make it tonight, and they're going to catch up on watching the video and doing the midterm at another point. So I first of all want to say you did a good job. Those that were scheduled to drive and took a few of the driving times that I had last week and on Saturday. This week is pretty booked up. I do have a few times on Saturday, and we'll probably deal with that a little bit more later in the week, because I am trying to catch up, finishing up previous 2 classes, and then I'm going to focus just on you guys. So the closer we get to the end of this program, the more openings I am going to have. So that's a good thing. Tonight's topic is on parking. The state manual, let's see if I can get it out here. Horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. So what I want you to do is to open up to, if I can find the page here. Hopefully you've got the manual with you, so when we have class. Turn to page 17. That's going to be on backing. I'm going to try to get to the other. I got a fan going, so I'm not having a very easy time picking the points, the parts that I want to cover here. Page 27. 1727 is what we're going to cover. So open up probably page 27. That's where we're going to get most of our information from. And I've added some things too to what they've got here. Now, the first thing that I want to mention, don't let anybody tell you differently, all right? There are 2 things when it comes to parking. Good parking and bad parking, all right? Everybody has a different way of doing things. So don't think that the manual, don't think that the textbook, don't even think that I am the only main source of giving you information on how to park, okay? You're either parking well or you're not. It's either you're doing something legal or you're doing something illegal. Okay, there's a lot of kind of gray area, okay, and on how to do things. Some people might like doing it slightly different on their approach, when to turn the wheel. So take it and use the information that you're reading, the information that you hear from me, and come up with your way of parking that is consistent. That's the only thing that I really care about. Are you a consistent parker? Can you park the car consistently every single time, getting it in the spot, getting it straight, making checks, using your directional? That's the main thing. Now, I'm going to give you my techniques that I have used over the years for parking. All right, so I do want you to write these down because it will help you when you get out with me, because I'll usually make you do them. At some point, I may let you try it on your own and see if it works. If it works and you can do it consistently, then I'm going to probably let it go. So let's get right into tonight's lesson. Like I said, probably right around 8:45 or so, maybe a little after. We'll probably end up the lecture, and the link for the midterm, I think you've already seen it. If you're a subscriber on Facebook, where you're supposed to be getting your worksheets, and I've got to check to make sure people have it in, but that is where you're going to find the link, and then I will give you the password at the very end of today's lecture at 8:45, 8:50. All right? So let's get into it. Get out a piece of paper. Let's write down some notes about parking. The first thing that I want to go over is that there are 3 terms that comes with letting people out of your vehicle. And I think we all know what the definition of parking means. But I think we get kind of hung up on when we see the word, what do you mean I can't, there's no stopping or standing? So no standing means you can stop to let people out of your car or pick someone up who is already there. But no waiting for someone or loading or unloading. This would probably make you think of a mall, a supermarket, an airport, okay, when you're picking somebody up and they've got luggage. No standing means you can stop to let people out of the car or pick someone who is already there. No stopping is the most restrictive, okay? You can't stop at the curb for any reason, any reason. So make sure that you understand stopping, standing, parking. We're trying to keep our roadways clear, our highways open. We don't want to block anything like fire trucks from getting access to fire hydrants or to get into buildings. And they apply in all situations unless there's some type of a sign. So what are the signs? We know that a white sign, and you better know this for the midterm later tonight, a white sign means law or regulation. It will be red in lettering. Sometimes we'll see a parking sign that is green in lettering, telling us to do something and restrictive on days and times. The other thing that I want you to take away from this picture is that if you park in an area where there is a no parking sign, there's a good chance that someone is watching will call a tow truck company and have your vehicle towed. It could cost you well over $100 to get your car back. So think about it. $20 to park your car in a garage, or maybe less than that at a meter, or pay close to $100 for a tow truck. Doesn't seem to be that hard of a decision, but you'd be surprised how many people are trying to get out of paying anything for parking their vehicle. Sometimes you just have to do it. So bite the bullet. Make sure you read the signs. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to get towed. Now, fire hydrants is another story. Now, I really like this picture, and I've had this for years and years and years, probably since I've ever started teaching. This was out in California, and a BMW decided that he couldn't find a parking spot, so he's only going to be there for a little bit. So he'll park in front of the fire hydrant. Little did he know that there was going to be a fire. The fire truck pulled up. They couldn't get access to the hydrant, so they busted both windows. You are responsible for paying for the damage that they did to your vehicle, not the fire department. That is on your dime. That is because you're illegal parked. It kind of voids the damage that they do to your car. You're probably going to still get a parking ticket too, by the way. That'd be painful, huh? How close can you park to another car? As long as you don't hit it. Think about it. You're not doing anything illegally wrong. You have not hit that vehicle. So could you park a couple inches from a car? Yeah. Are they going to be pissed off that they can't get in? Oh, yeah. Okay. You won't be able to get out either. You're going to have to go out through the passenger side door. Now, this picture was taken at I believe a car wash, and these 2 vehicles were owned by employees. They did that on purpose. So you can park as close as you want to other people if they don't mind, and as long as you don't hit them. But the problem is when you make the wrong move with the steering wheel or accelerate at the wrong point, you're going to hit somebody. So let's write a few things down here. Move as far away from traffic as you possibly can. So get as close to the curb. You want to be about a foot or less. That is what they're looking for. So write this down in your notes. On your driving test, when there is a curb and you're parking, like in parallel parking or just pulling over to the side of the road in a parking spot, make sure the right side of your vehicle is less than a foot. Second thing, never open up your door when there's traffic coming. Look in your rearview mirror, side view mirror, and over your shoulder. It is the same checks that you make as on a lane change. So write that down. Getting out of your vehicle on the side of the road on a curb, your checks before you open your door are the same checks you make when you make a lane change. Rear view mirror, side view mirror left, over the shoulder left, open the door. When you leave your vehicle, make sure it's locked. No one can get in. Make sure the vehicle can't move, so you've left it in park. Maybe used your parking brake. I think I've told most of you, and I think I had this on the first week, that I only use the parking brake if I'm going up a hill or down a hill. If I'm on level ground, in park, that's fine for me. Checking your traffic before you open up that door. So important. This was just an article that I photocopied. It was a person that parked 18 inches away from the curb, and he got a parking ticket, and he was pretty upset about it. So he wrote a letter to the editor, local newspaper, and this was in Dover. So it does happen. It doesn't happen that often. The guy did pay the meter, so were they being a little unkind to him because he was 5 or 6 inches further than he should have been away from the curb? Yeah. But, I mean, the 12 inches or less is really more of a safety thing. You're not really doing anything to hurt people. So I just thought that was kind of much. Okay, when is parking by the side of the road? What are some of the things you should remember? You must be off the paved or main travel portion of the road, or it will be towed. Plain and simple. If it's not possible to pull completely off the road, you should be seen for a distance of 200 feet in both directions. Write that down. You may not, you will definitely won't see it on the midterm, but you will see this on your final. I absolutely want you to know that your car should be seen. So 200 feet. And we're also talking about hills, curves, and any other place where people don't have good vision of your vehicle. They need time and distance to react to your vehicle off to the side of the road. And parking lights should be used, not emergency lights. Emergency lights, now listen to this, are your parking lights. They're one and the same. So what they're saying is do not make your parking lights your emergency lights. Don't hit the hazard button. A car with emergency lights on wants the police to pull over and help them. You want someone to come to your aid. Parking lots will not create people pulling over to help you, nor will the police stop for you. So if you're wondering why people are pulling over, you got your hazard lights on. You've got your emergency lights on. Hazard lights, emergency lights mean the same thing. Your vehicle will be towed. So if you've left it off on the side of the road from, a bit of time, leave a note indicating what the problem is when you're going to move the vehicle. The phone number, and I don't have it here in front of me in the new manual. So you don't have to write down the phone number, but I always tell people, why not write it down, put it in your phone? It's an emergency number that you hope you never will use, but if you have to use it, at least it's there. In the old manual, this was in there, so I told people throw your manual in your glove compartment or your trunk, and you've always got this information that I'm talking about. Parking is not allowed, and you do need to know these for the final. Alongside another parked vehicle. This is called double parking. Now, delivery trucks, like in downtown Durham, when the beer trucks come, the Frito-Lay truck, the UPS truck, they can all park side by side with another vehicle that's parallel parked, but they've got to move their vehicle within like 5 or 10 minutes. This is why they're making the delivery so quick, so quick. So just remember that is legal for them. So don't park on a sidewalk, in an intersection, on a crosswalk, on a bridge. All these are just common sense areas that you should not be parking your vehicle. Tunnel, any way that you're blocking traffic or is a hazard to others on the road, on any street where there's not enough clearance for other vehicles to get by, front of a driveway. I call these common sense situations. If you get out of your vehicle and you're looking around, you go, man, I hope nobody hits my car, then you probably shouldn't park there. That's a good indicator that you don't remember what you talked about or what we talked about in driver's ed, but this doesn't just seem right. So if it doesn't seem right, it probably isn't. Now, these are the number ones. These are the ones that you're going to find on the bottom of page 28. So you do need to know these. So they are in the new manual. 15 feet of a fire hydrant, 20 feet of a crosswalk. Now, remember how we remember anything dealing with fire? If it has a 5 in the number, it probably is related to fire. 20 feet of a crosswalk, 30 feet of a stop sign, yield sign, or traffic control. And this is what really irks me in Durham. They let people park almost 10 feet or less from a stop sign in Durham, which makes it highly likely that you're going to miss people pulling out from some of these roads, like Saxby's, where the driver's ed car got hit. We could not see them. They could not see us. It was just waiting to happen. And I'm sure they're going to have other incidents there. 20 feet on the fire station entrance side, 75 on the opposite side, 50 feet from the nearest rail or railroad crossing. Handicapped parking, don't need to know the fines, but you should know what a handicap sign looks like. The hash areas off to the side of the parking are what we call access aisles. They're yellow or white. Can't park there, you're going to get fined also. What could you do if you see someone parking in these spots? You can call the police, have them come out to write out a ticket or have the vehicle towed. But if they get to move the vehicle before the police come, you can take a picture and email it to them or text it to them and just give a statement. This is what you saw. This is your name, your phone number, and you could follow up on it. And they would probably give the person a ticket. Let's talk about backing. Backing is one of the first driving skills that usually our second time out driving that we will cover this, because I want to see how you maneuver your vehicle in reverse. How do you back to the right? How do you back to the left? Do you look over your shoulder correctly? Do you stop at the edge? Do you check? So this was a video of an elderly person, and no lie, I wish I could find it again. I just don't have it in my files on my my desktop. It's on my laptop. I've got to transfer it over. But this individual, it took them at least a minute to get out of this driveway. It shouldn't. It should only take you probably to back to the right when you're in a driveway 5 to 10 seconds. If you back to the left out of a driveway, should take you maybe 7 to 15. So it's done very quickly, but there are certain things that you need to do. So I made a video, okay? I made a video about backing. So let me show you the video that I did, and I'll try to talk through it too. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that your vehicle is in good position. So as you back up, you should be looking down the middle portion of the vehicle, maybe looking in your side mirror, turning very sharp to the right at the edge, and your final placement should be in the right lane. Now when you back to the left, you stop at the edge, make checks in both directions, make sure nobody's coming, use your signal, and now you've got to end over on the correct side of the road. So you're going out a little bit deeper into the roadway, and notice you're not stopping halfway through. You're getting straight. Now, a person that does it wrong is going to put the car out in the middle and just leave it there. So here I put the car out in the middle, I'm leaving it, and then I'm gonna fix it. That's kind of a lazy way of doing it. And on your driver's test, they want to see that you can actually keep it to the right. So signal, stop at the edge, check both ways, and know which way you're turning. And stay in your lane. And when we go out to do this, we'll be doing 6 or 7 in each direction. That way I know that you're making your stop, making your checks, final placement looks pretty good. And when you do it to the left, same thing. Signal, stop, check both ways, go out halfway down to the road, and make sure that you end up in your lane. So basically that is backing, and that's really one of the easiest things to do. So we start off with backing. Now the next thing, and I haven't been able to make a video for this yet, the easiest of all parkings is angle parking. So I do want you to write some of this stuff down. Where do we find angle parking? Usually fast food places, schools, downtown areas. You're only going at a 45-degree angle, so it makes it relatively easy getting in and relatively easy getting out as long as there's no traffic. So it doesn't matter whether you approach and park to the right or park to the left. Usually it's both pretty easy in either direction. But when you do have a what we call a travel lane, you want to approach from the middle or slightly opposite from the direction that you're going to be parking. And I apologize, I don't have any video or any pictures for this. So when do you start turning the wheel to get into your angle parking spots? You start turning when your side mirror, so let's talk about the left side. So when your left side mirror is even with the first line of the parking spot that you're going to take, and you can see the entire parking spot that you're going to use, every inch of it is visible to you, you know it's time to start turning your wheel. Once you're halfway in, straighten your wheels, work on getting left or right if you're out of position at all, and continue in to the very top of your spot. Now backing out is just the opposite of what we've done in drive. Is you look both directions to make sure nobody's backing out, especially people behind you. You go halfway out, and you're halfway out when your seatbelt post, where it's connected to the side of the car, is at the very end of the bumper or the end of the parking line of the spot that's next to you. That's when you start turning your wheel. That's angle parking. Pretty easy. Now perpendicular, and I'm not going to really go over this here. I've got another video that I did, and it's a little bit more lengthy than the backing one. So I'm going to show you the perp one, and this is the parking lot that we'll be using, by the way. So I actually did this video last September. So even before I knew that I was going to have a channel and basically have an online presence with Driver's Ed, but I think I'm telling people this, is that if at any point after Driver's Ed you still aren't getting some of your parking maneuvers right and you need some help, text me a message. I'll try to help you out with some of these things that I've got here, or go right back to these videos. These videos are to help you remember the way that I've taught you on technique. So let's take a look at the perpendicular video. One of the problems with perpendicular parking, it's the approach. Most people don't understand, or they forget, that it's two-way traffic. So you should always be in the correct lane as you approach. If you try to cheat to go into a parking spot early, you're bound to cut off your lines and your angles. When parking to the left, you should be as far as you possibly can at the end of the painted lines of the parking spots that are next to you. You should look out your side window. You should line up your shoulder with one of the parking lines. If you take a look out the window from the driver's seat, your shoulder will be lined up with a parking line prior to the parking spot that you're going to be taking. The front bumper is now even with the first line of the parking spot you'll be parking in. Put on your signal, lightly let go of the brake, and gradually turn the wheel to the left. You still should be able to see the left parking light underneath your side mirror as you start to approach into your parking spot. Once you are straight, straighten up your wheel and go to the end of your parking spot. As you approach into your parking spot, use the lines of the parking spot in front of you to help center yourself in your parking spot, making sure that you do not go through the end line into the parking spot in front of you. Here's a car that is going in the middle of the traveling lane, starting to turn the wheel before the front bumper gets to the first line. So you're coming at an angle. You're probably cutting off a little bit of the left line and you're turning extremely sharp to get into your parking spot. Now you're in your parking spot, you're parallel to your lines, but if there were parked cars, you would have a problem. Now we're approaching the same parking spot, but we're going beyond the shoulder line, beyond the bumper with the first line. Now we're going to go far over into the right side of a parking spot, backing into the left spot, and now you're in your parking spot. Very close to the right side of the line of your parking spot. Plenty of room off to the left. It doesn't look that bad from the outside, but if there was a car to the right of us, we would have hit it. So let's just kind of go back and do each of those maneuvers and set up cones with a piece of wood and see if we would have hit cars. Okay, what we've done is we've set up some safety cones with a thin piece of wood to simulate where a side of a vehicle would be. We're basically about a foot off the line on either side. One of the problems with a vehicle, it does give you a reference as you pull in. Now we're going to lose these cones as we go into our parking spot, and that's very common for a new driver. They lose sight of what is to the left or the right of the vehicle because they're focused so much onto the front part of the car. So let's get in the car and take a look at not having good angles coming into your parking spot. I'm approaching from the middle of the traveling lane. I'm going to start my turn a little bit early. This is a common problem for most people. They try to get in at the very top of the white line, and then they find that they're going to hit the car to the right, so they turn real sharp to the left. Now you notice that we didn't hit the cones, but we are on the line to the left of our parking spot. Never want to hit a car again. This time we're going to go a little bit beyond the shoulder line, the bumper with the first line of your parking spot. So this is going to be a late turn into a parking spot. So here we are turning very, very lately. As you see, hitting the cone, hitting the wood. Would have been a car. If you have a new driver, you don't have a safety brake where you could stop the car. You've just had your first crash. Let's talk about one of the most difficult things of perpendicular parking. Maybe not so much getting in, but a lot of people forget that they've got to get out of their parking spot. And a lot of times when you're going to be backing to the right, now you can back to the left or to the right out of a perpendicular parking spot, but here's a person that only looks to the right, doesn't look to the left, and starts turning the wheel way too early. Notice, hits the piece of wood. That would be scraping up on the side of a car. You now have another crash because you don't focus your attention to the front of the vehicle. Let's go back in and do it the right way. Okay, let's talk about how to get out of a parking spot correctly and safely. You have a choice. You can back to the left or you could back to the right out of a perpendicular parking spot, so it doesn't matter which way that you go. I prefer always backing to the left because it's going to be a wider turn. It's not going to be quite as sharp as the one to the right. But the most important thing to remember about backing out of a perpendicular parking spot is to have your rear view mirror and your side view mirrors adjusted, because even though you're focusing your attention to the right or to the left, what could be coming down the traveling lane, you got to remember there are parked cars behind you in a busy parking lot. And if they're backing out at the same time that you're backing out, and they're not looking at you and you're not looking at them, you are now on a crash course, and you're going to hit each other. So my recommendation for backing out of any parking spot is to go out left, right, check, go out 6 inches, stop, look again, go out a little bit further, check, check. When you see that no one's coming and you're halfway out would bring your body to the end of the painted parking lines on either side. No one's backing out of a parking spot. No traffic is coming down in either direction. You now can perform your maneuver to the left. So we're going to turn sharp to the left, and that is going to bring us way over onto the left side of the parking lot. Then we can straighten up. You may not be able to get fully straight, but at least you're not going to be hitting a car backing out of a parking spot. Let's take a look at what it would look like if you were to back out from the right. So let's go back into the parking spot. We line up our shoulder with the line prior to the parking spot that we want. We check our rear view mirror, no traffic's coming towards us. We start our turn, we do hand over hand for a quicker, smoother turn. We're coming into our parking spot, we're almost completely straight. We use the lines in front of us, we straighten up our wheel, we go the rest of the way in, trying to get equal space on both sides. So let's back to the right. So putting on your signal, looking both directions, going out 6 inches or so, checking, going out a little bit further, because if there was a car coming, they'd see your backup lights and they would stop to let you out. Now we're at the very end of the painted lines to the right and to the left of us. We are now going to gradually turn to the right till we cleared the car to the left, and now we turn the rest of the way. But notice you're not going to be able to get straight because you have to back out halfway. This is when you put it in drive, you straighten up your car, and you get over into the correct side of your traveling lane. Now for the most difficult way to perpendicular park is to the right. The reason being is traffic is supposed to stay over to the right. But in order to get into that parking spot between the cones, I have to bring my vehicle all the way over as far as I can to the end of the painted lines to the left of me. I am still going to line up my shoulder with the line of the parking spot prior to the parking spot that I want. I put on my signal, and now I start my turn. Hand over hand. Notice I'm not going to hit the cone to the left, which is very common. I wait till I'm straight, and I straighten up my wheel. I approach my parking spot to the furthest point to the left. I line up my shoulder with the line prior to my parking spot. I hesitate. I let go of the brake. I go hand over hand. Watch that I don't hit the cone with the wood. That would be a car. I straighten up my wheel. And now I'm perfectly centered in my parking spot. I approach my parking spot as far to the left as I possibly can without getting too close to the cars that are to the left of me. I line up my shoulder with a line prior to the spot that I want. I hesitate for a moment. I let go of the brake. I go hand over hand. Notice the left corner is not getting too close to the cones in the board where there would be a car. I wait till I'm straightened up. And now I'm centered in my parking spot, making sure that I don't go too deep. Okay, now we're going to back out of the parking spot. Most people that park to the right will have a tendency to want to back out to the right. So what they normally don't do is they don't use your signal. You got to remember, when you use the signal coming out of a parking spot, it gets people attention. A lot of people say, why do I have to use my directional with backing out of a parking spot? There is no guessing which way the car is going. They see the backup lights, they see the directional, it gets their attention. You don't want people to be backing up the same time that you are. You don't want people going around your vehicle while you're trying to get out. So you look over your right shoulder if you're backing to the right, you look both ways, you go out about 6 inches, you want people to see your backup lights, your directional. If no one's coming by and you can't see, you're gonna go out a little bit further. When you're about halfway out, you're going to start to slowly turn to the right. Notice we're no longer going to hit that piece of wood. Now we're going to be a little bit crooked, but what we do is we stop, we straighten up our wheel, and we pull over to the correct side of the road, if more traffic is going to be coming down the parking spot. Okay. Now, I know that was kind of a lengthy video, but I truly believe that perpendicular parking is probably one of the hardest types of parking to do. I actually think it's harder to perpendicular park well than it is to parallel park. Now, we haven't talked about parallel parking. I'm going to get into that in just a moment. But go to any parking lot that has perpendicular parking lot and parking and look around at the people that park there. You're going to see so many bad parking maneuvers, so many people out of position. And the other thing that you've got to remember with all types of parking, we're basing this off lines, which we call reference points. What are you going to do in the wintertime when there's snow, ice, and you have no reference points? Are you going to totally be horrible at parking, or can you use the vehicles that are already parked as guides to get you in? And that's how you're going to have to adapt. You are going to have to use those vehicles as guides and reference points to get in. And if everybody did that, then everything would be in order and there would be no issues. But people are just horrible at parking, just horrible. So let's get right to the worst that most people just dread, and that's parallel parking. Parallel parking is only difficult as if you do not learn a technique. It doesn't have to be mine. I have a certain way that I like to teach it, and I'll show it to you in a moment. There are other different types of techniques, but it's all about angles. Because remember, cars now are automated, which means that they can parallel park by themselves. And it's all based upon on radar. It has a sense when angles and obstructions are around, and the car compensates for that. I wish I had this particular video. It's a person that's over, I believe, in Italy. A horrible parking job. Basically, the spot was too small. You've got to find a spot that's at least 6 feet larger than your vehicle. You need 3 feet in front, 3 feet in the back. If you've got less than that, you're going to probably hit the curb or hit a car when you parallel park. Let me show you one bad parallel parking video I did find. And if I don't get to mute it, there is just a couple bad words, so I apologize. But I'll try to mute the movie. I'll talk over it. What you're basically seeing is that angle is way too wide. Right now, she has just bumped into a blue truck. The people in the blue truck, the passenger, is actually videotaping. No, I apologize. That's where she hit. She hit the vehicle, and they're saying, I can't believe she just hit us. By the way, I would never parallel park unless I know I could do it. If there was somebody in the vehicle, I hate parallel parking when there are other people in the vehicle next to us. Notice she's waving traffic along because she knows she didn't do it well. So most people would say, I can't do it. I'm just going to leave. I'll find a different spot. She goes backwards, and she hits him again, knowing that he's still in the vehicle. Let's see if I unmute it, whether... See, look at it. And he's got video of it. And her license plate. Now, one of the things we're going to talk about next week is insurance. He has her license plate. If there's damage to his...
Got it all on video.
See? He can report that. Okay? That is bad parallel parking. It doesn't have to be that way. Let's kind of go through the points because I did a video, but I didn't do any narrative to it. I just made it like a music video with some key points that I threw in, so it's not me talking at all. I was going to put it on Instagram. I still might, but here we go. Stop before the empty parking spot. So you find your empty parking spot. You hesitate, stop before it. Then you pull up about 2 feet away from the car that you're going to be parallel parking behind. Okay? Tilt your mirrors down at this point. I should have put that up here. Tilt your mirrors down, your side mirror, and you're going to use that side mirror to guide you into the back of the parking spot. So you're basically going to turn your wheel 3 times the way that I teach it with parallel parking. All the way to the right, go back straight, and all the way to the left. What you're trying to do is create a 45-degree angle. Once you've got that angle and your wheels are straight, you're going about a foot from the curb using your right side mirror. Once you're about a foot away from the curb, you are now going to turn your wheels all the way sharp to the left. Then if you have to move back or forward to kind of straighten out your vehicle, you can do that. But this method that I'm going to teach you, this right straight left, you could basically do it without any further correction. It's pretty easy to do. Most people can't believe that they're getting into the spot that easy. But here's the right side mirror, and this is what I'm talking about. Using the side of your vehicle as a guide to help you get into that back corner to create a 45-degree angle. So let me show you my parallel parking video. Let's take a look today at one of the hardest driving maneuvers, parallel parking. Okay, here's the approach. I got to use my drone for this. The first video I did with my drone. So I found my spot. All you need is one vehicle to practice with, by the way. So I'm pulling up 2 feet away. I'm going to set my side mirror down right now. I'm putting on my right turn signal, making sure nobody's behind me. If nobody's behind me, I'm going to start turning my wheel sharp to the right to create a 45-degree angle. So the car is going as sharp as it possibly can to the right. And I'm making the side of my car go to the back corner, the very back corner. Once that line disappears, I'm now going to straighten my wheel. There's my 45-degree angle. I straighten the wheel. Notice I'm going, the side of the car is going to that back corner. Once I'm a foot away from the curb, I'm now turning all the way to the left. And this is where if you have to readjust, you can readjust. But this is showing you from the overhead that it's just a 45-degree angle. Doesn't matter that cars are coming by. Use your camera, use your side mirror, anything that can tell you that you're near the back of the spot. And if you have to reposition, you can reposition. Now remember, if you're going to leave, you got to check your mirrors before you leave. Check rear, check side, check over your shoulder. Use your signal to indicate you're leaving. And basically that's parallel parking. And this is Durham. This is where you're going to do all your parallel parking. 3 easy steps to parallel parking. Right, straight, and left. What's so hard about parallel parking? With a little bit of practice, anybody can do it. So that's parallel parking. And I had 2 lessons today of parallel parking. So everybody's going to be doing it. So don't think you're going to get out of any of these parking maneuvers. Now the last one we're going to go over before we do the midterm is called backing into perpendicular parking spots. And I wish I had a video for this one too, but I don't. So let's talk about it real quick. You basically want to be about 5 feet away from the empty spot that you're going to be taking. So from the end of the parking lines, you want the side of your car about 5 feet away. Can be a little bit less. Now here's the key. You want to go 3 parking spots beyond the one that you want to back into. So you usually stop at your parking spot and use that parking spot line as line number 1, and then just move forward 1, 2, 3 lines. Get your shoulder even with that 3rd line. Set your mirror down to see the ground like you do with parallel parking. Use your turn signal to indicate you're parking to the right. And now you're going to back up about a foot from that third line and turn the wheel all the way to the right. All the way to the right. Now, once you start going into that parking spot and looking in the side mirror, you're basically going to see when your vehicle is parallel with the right white line. Once your vehicle is parallel with the white line to the right, straighten your wheels and go into the rest of the parking spot. That is perpendicular parking. You can do it to the right, you can do it to the left. And by the way, I didn't mention that, but if you parallel park on a one-way street, you're just going to reverse what you just saw in the video. Rather than going right, straight, left, you're going to go left, straight, right if you're on a one-way street parallel parking on the left side. Same thing with perpendicular parking. You could do it to the right, you could do it to the left. You're still using those three lines. They're mirror image. They're mirror images. And why we're doing these steps and these reference points is to make your parking consistent. Remember, I talked about at the beginning tonight that you want to do something that you can do on a regular basis. And if you do it enough time, it will be muscle memory, and you're not going to be talking it out in your head or talking it out loud. It's just going to happen. But you've got to do a whole bunch where you're hitting all these reference points just right to make it stick. So when I take you out, we're going to do 6, 7, 8 of these each direction until it really starts to be automatic for you. And we will review some of these parking skills at the very end of our 10 hours that we drive. So it's just not learning it lesson 6 or 7, but we'll be repeating it again later before you're done your 10 hours. So that's a quick overview of parking. Brings us right up to where we need to do the midterm. So once you leave YouTube, you're going to go to the Facebook page that we have, our remote page. So let me hold this up. Okay, so the midterm is on our Facebook page, and the password is curve. Okay, so put curve in the password. It should get you right on to do it. Take your time. Do the best that you can. Half of it's going to be all signs. It's all multiple choice. So I wish you luck. If you're having problems, I'll get my phone out and I'll help you out. So text me. If you have any problems with anything, text me. It should probably take you 25 minutes, maybe. Okay, that's why I'm saying it's going to take us right. It could take you, I'm going to give you more time. You could probably take 45 minutes, I think, but I don't think it's not going to take you that long. But do take your time. You can review your questions. You could skip over and go back. I don't think you're going to have any problems with it logging out, but if you do, just let me know and we'll go from there. Tomorrow, your homework is just the way that we've got it listed. We're going to be talking about driving emergencies. So it's going to be chapter 15 on responsible driving with the questions at the end of the chapter, and also read section 10. So we're going to be talking about things that will be happening to you that will cause problems mechanically out on the roadway. So good luck on the midterm, and we'll see how you do. See you tomorrow.